They wear Casio watches so you'll stop asking about their bank accounts. They eat hamburgers so you don't look behind the scenes at the corporate conglomerates that manipulate the markets. They wear wrinkled t-shirts so you forget they own companies that can sway national policies. They meditate, eat vegan, and read every morning so you'll think they're just like you. But what if I told you it's all just a perfectly orchestrated performance? Behind those no-brand shirts lies a data empire that monitors billions. Behind their warm smiles is a lobbying machine that can bend laws. Every candid photo you see is meticulously staged by the best media directors on the planet would. You believe it? Or do you still believe the dream they're selling you? That dressing like them and living simply will make you one of them? Welcome to the most sophisticated illusion of modern capitalism, the humble billionaire, a carefully crafted media product more polished than any ad campaign. It's a mild sedative for a society torn apart by injustice, a soft mask made from silk and algorithms. Do you still believe that just by wearing the same t-shirt as them, you can achieve the same success? Then keep listening, because for the past 3 years, you haven't been admiring them. You've been led by them. It's time to peel back the layers of one of the most dangerous illusions of our time, the myth of the humble billionaire. Welcome to Dreamy Nights, where we reveal the truths that society doesn't want you to know. Behind the humble appearances of billionaires lies a sophisticated and cunning game of imagery. Bill Gates wears a $10 Casio watch, Jack Ma sports canvas, shoes, Warren Buffett uses coupons for hamburgers, and Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray t-shirt every day. These images have become legends, repeated by the media as lessons in humility, the philosophy of simple is best, and the greatness of the world's top financial and tech leaders. But wait, have you ever wondered why these simple stories always appear at just the right time, in the perfect light, with neat composition, and such strong inspirational impact? Is it all really just coincidence? A testament to their honesty and simplicity? Or are these carefully arranged pieces in a grand, calculated game of image, orchestrated by top-tier media experts? Behind Zuckerberg's gray t-shirt is a $1 million image strategy. That shirt isn't just a random $5 supermarket purchase. It's a custom-designed piece by renowned high-end fashion designer Ronaldo Pucciani, a name well known in elite fashion circles. Its minimalist cut, high-quality fabric, and muscle-enhancing fit are meticulously crafted to portray the image of a humble leader focused on work rather than vanilla visual philosophy that Meta's communications team has refined over years. Even Mark himself once admitted in an interview, "I wear the same thing every day because I don't want to waste energy deciding what to wear." A statement that sounds so authentic, almost too perfect to be true, and it perfectly taps into our admiration for minimalism. The attention of millions of young people is focused on dreaming of becoming entrepreneurs. However, let's take a closer look at what Mark truly owns. His house in Palo Alto spans over 5,000 square meters and is worth more than $7 million, equipped with AI-controlled technology, advanced security systems, and a bulletproof conference room. He even bought 4 additional houses around it just to ensure privacy, a tactic the super-rich call a soft wall of real estate. In Hawaii, Mark purchased a plot of land nearly 600 hectares large, 8 times the size of Beijing's Forbidden City, to build his own farm and private resort, protected like a military base. We often see images of Mark taking his kids out, wearing a t-shirt and jeans, carrying his child, snapped by paparazzi with perfect lighting, clean backgrounds, and carefully chosen angles. Nothing is accidental. Zuckerberg has a team of 5 personal photographers, an image manager, and a legal team to control what appears in the media. Every time Mark appears in public dressed simply, the Meta media team has met beforehand to strategize the angle, standardize the message, and refine the image down to every pixel. It all serves one purpose: to make Mark seem like an ordinary person, so he can sell a more believable, friendly, and acceptable image, while he runs a company controlling data from billions of people. Now let's look at Warren Buffett, the ultimate minimalist. He's known for living in a house he bought in 1958 for $31,500, driving an old Cadillac, and eating McDonald's breakfast with discount coupons. But did you know that Berkshire Hathaway, The conglomerate Buffett runs, owns hundreds of companies and manages over $900 billion in assets. Buffett himself has a private jet, a personal security team, and holds secret meetings with presidents, CEOs, and the biggest investors in the world. He knows how to live simply enough to inspire, but is wise enough never to reveal the true extent of his power. Similarly, Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft and the world's leading philanthropist, often appears in casual khakis and a simple shirt, wearing a Casio F91W watch worth less than $20. Yet he owns a vast real estate empire stretching from California to Montana. His Xanadu 2.0 complex on Lake Washington is worth over $130 million, with integrated smart controls, a priceless rare, book library, a private cinema, and an underground bunker. Gates also has his own security team, a private jet, and a travel schedule managed like that of a head of state. So why does he still wear a cheap watch? Because it's a symbol of simplicity, a worn but trustworthy watch, just like the image Bill wants the world to remember about him. Jack Ma, the Alibaba tycoon, is often described as someone who doesn't care much about appearances, frequently wearing a pair of cloth shoes that cost 26 yuan. But did you know that Jack Ma organized elaborate internal fashion shows and even performed as Michael Jackson at an Alibaba anniversary event? He owns a villa in Hangzhou with exquisite classical Chinese architecture. After clashing with Chinese authorities for overreaching his influence, Jack Ma has appeared less frequently in public, but each time he shows up, it's with a carefully curated image, a humble, rural-looking old man full of reflection. Yet behind him still lies a corporate empire, with one of the deepest data and financial networks in China, once powerful enough to directly challenge the state's financial system. The truth is, the richer they are, the more they don't want you to know just how rich they really are. In a world filled with injustice, where the gap between the rich and the poor widens every day, flaunting wealth can sometimes be a reputational risk, a slap in the face to those struggling to make a living. Billionaires understand this well. They invest heavily in crafting a simple, approachable image to win public trust, support, and even compassion. Some even leverage that image to step into politics, build personal brands through philanthropy, and pave the way for future investments in startups. You might see them wearing modest clothes, but not their $10 million garage of luxury cars. You might see them eating hamburgers, but not attending Michelin-starred dinners on private jets. You might see them with their families, but not the teams of lawyers, asset managers, investment advisors, bodyguards, and image consultants surrounding them. The media won't show you all that because they've chosen a narrative, a tale of simplicity that reinforces the belief that anyone can succeed, that billionaires are just like us, and that living simply is a virtue. Yet in reality, that's just a carefully sanctioned version of the truth. The real story always remains behind the scenes. Not all billionaires are fake, some genuinely avoid flashy lifestyles, and that's undeniable. But they didn't just become that way by accident. It's the result of a meticulously calculated image strategy, much like the way they run their companies, controlling every dollar, every message, every camera angle. In the world of the ultra-wealthy, nothing is accidental. Even simplicity can be a glossy veneer over a network of power and unimaginable luxury. So, next time you see a billionaire in a plain t-shirt stepping out of a modest car, what will you think? That they're just like you, or that they want you to think they are? Simplicity is the million-dollar armor of billionaires. One wears a $10 Casio watch, another sports a pair of cheap canvas shoes, some wear the same t-shirt every day, eat hamburgers with discount coupons, or live in an old house for decades. Yet they all share one thing in common. They're billionaires, at the helm of the world's most powerful financial and technological empires, and they're incredibly simple, in a way that's both curious and inspiring. But hold on, in a world where image is a tool of power, nothing is truly accidental, especially for those who understand the value of every click, every public gaze, every news snippet. So why do they choose simplicity? The answer goes beyond fashion sense. It's a survival strategy, a carefully calculated media shell, an invisible but priceless product they use to sell a perfect message. I'm just like you. I'm not intimidating. Kind. But is that really the truth? Let's start with the social context. Today, the gap between rich and poor is deeper than ever. Inequality is rampant, and public trust in the elite is eroding. Many young people can't even afford their first apartment. While billionaire wealth has grown tenfold in just a few years, especially during the pandemic, the image of the wealthy has shifted from being aspirational to becoming a symbol of injustice. Any act of flaunting wealth can now spark a backlash and fuel boycotts. So simplicity is no longer a virtue but a survival tactic. A billionaire like Jeff Bezos could buy anything he wants, but if he live-streamed himself every day, showing off luxury jets and gold-plated sports cars, would people still want to shop at Amazon? Billionaires understand this well. Flaunting wealth can damage a brand faster than any crisis. Elon Musk, for example, faced criticism for spending $44 billion on Twitter instead of addressing climate change or supporting education, even if that criticism was a bit unreasonable. Nonetheless, there's public resentment over their vast fortunes. Bill Gates was publicly criticized when news broke that he owned private jets, even while giving talks about protecting the environment. Mark Zuckerberg, who wears the same gray t-shirt nearly every day, quietly built a $100 million tech fortress in Hawaii, complete with a 24/7 security team. To protect their companies, wealth, lives, and even political influence, these billionaires have learned to hide their wealth and project an image of humility, not because they don't want to enjoy their riches, but because they can't afford to flaunt power too obviously in a society increasingly angry at those who have more than they could ever spend. Instead of showing off yachts, supercars, or fine French wines, they now demonstrate simplicity, and that image helps them survive and, more importantly, market themselves as a brand of kindness. Billionaires no longer just sell products, they sell trust. To make that trust appear real, they must look like ordinary people, dressing simply, eating plain meals, sometimes dropping their phones by accident just to appear clumsy and relatable. They want to seem like a friend, a neighbor, a loving father, or an approachable uncle, not someone who wields more power than a nation. They do this deliberately. For instance, Mark Zuckerberg's plain gray t-shirt may look ordinary, but it's actually custom-made by a high-end designer, tailored for a perfect fit and in a neutral color that photographs well in any lighting. This image strategy has been in place since Facebook's early days, helping him build the persona of a genius introverted computer nerd who doesn't care about appearances. This makes him likable to startup communities, programmers, students, and investors who love a focused, minimalist, and efficient style. Bill Gates, too, used a $10 Casio watch as a PR shield during his years as the world's richest man. He was often seen wearing that humble watch, and no one bothered to ask about his luxury cars or mansions, because everyone was captivated by the message. Here's a man who isn't blinded by wealth. Yet, at the same time, his mansion in Medina, Washington, was worth over $130 million, complete with AI systems, a rare book vault, and security on par with the White House. Warren Buffett played the role of the nation's kindly grandfather, living in the same house he bought in 1958 and drinking Coca-Cola every day. But never forget is one of the wealthiest and shrewdest investors on the planet, running Berkshire Hathaway, an investment firm with assets worth trillions of dollars. He knows how to plant in your mind the image of a sweet old man rather than a ruthless boss of one street. He's not alone in this yak. One has their own PR team, stylists, image consultants, photographers, social media crisis managers, set designers, and editors who control every post. They even train senior staff to maintain brand consistency. This is a full-fledged media campaign, no different from a presidential election. When you see them stepping out of a modest SUV, wearing a simple t-shirt, smiling with their spouse and children at a picnic, don't believe it's just a candid moment, nothing is accidental. That image is the result of months, even years, of work by teams ensuring every frame serves a single goal: to reinforce the image of the people's billionaire. Why does this matter? Because in a world where people distrust everything, from politics to corporations, trust is the most valuable asset. If you can make people believe you're a good, humble person, you can sell them anything, products, stocks, advice, books, even your own mistakes. Every time a tech CEO testifies about data scandals, monopoly violations, or tax evasion, they don't show up in fancy suits or flashy cars. They come in plain gray t-shirts with tousled hair and unassuming faces, sitting neatly and speaking like a fresh graduate. They know that a common appearance helps them avoid the cold-hearted capitalist stereotype that media loves to exploit. And remember, when you buy into their simplicity, you're more likely to forgive them when they're caught evading taxes, manipulating markets, or crushing competitors. You'll think, he probably didn't mean to do it, he's a good guy. That's the power of image. In a media-driven world, image can matter more than actions. A simple t-shirt isn't just fabric. It's a psychological weapon, a marketing tool, a sophisticated survival tactic. Simplicity in the hands of billionaires isn't a lifestyle. It's a well-planned product designed to sell you something more valuable than stocks: trust. Behind the gray t-shirt are silent armies and strategies no one talks about. You think a billionaire just grabs any random t-shirt, walks to the office, and happens to be snapped in a candid moment. No, that kind of coincidence often costs millions of dollars to stage. Behind those spontaneous shots is a powerful, calculating machine where images, messages, and even public emotions are managed like a military campaign. Billionaires never work alone. They have entire team stylists, photographers, brand experts, crisis managers, lawyers, and PR specialists, each playing a role in crafting and maintaining the image of the humble, kind, and approachable billionaire. The more authentic the image, the more dangerous it is because it lowers everyone's guard. From the smallest details, like the color of the shirt, the hairstyle, the type of glasses, the way they walk, sit, and smile, everything is rehearsed, curated, and deliberately portrayed. You might think that Mark Zuckerberg wearing the same gray t-shirt every day is just because he's lazy, but actually, it's a minimalist visual concept he's built since 2011, when Facebook began shaping its public image. His personal stylist ensures that each shirt maintains a crisp form, with wrinkle-resistant material that fits his body perfectly, all to create an image of simplicity that exudes genius. Meanwhile, when Bill Gates appears in the media, he often wears a neutral-colored turtleneck or a simple shirt. Yet behind that, there's a well-calculated PR team ensuring he avoids designer brands that could invite scrutiny, steering clear of logos that might imply corporate ties, not wearing expensive watches, and always maintaining a friendly, professorial smile. Gates's legal team manages negative articles, while his PR team schedules tightly controlled interviews, and his international communications consultants shape global public opinion to focus on his philanthropic work. Then there's Warren Buffett, who's often seen eating at McDonald's. But that too could easily be a carefully staged scene cosin for just the right lighting, with a background that highlights his everyman image. This is a man who could buy the entire restaurant chain, yet he still eats an old-fashioned hamburger not because of habit, but because he knows people love a good story more than the raw truth. To sustain that story, he has a team of scriptwriters, directors, cameramen, and post-production editors. Many billionaires also have dedicated listening teams working 24/7 to monitor public sentiment, analyze social media data, measure public emotions, and evaluate every single comment. When a negative story arises, their crisis team will release a series of positive articles, repost simple images, promote their charity work, or simply have the billionaire appear in a down-to-earth setting to dilute the negative effect. Billionaires don't do PR like ordinary people. They don't just buy articles, they buy public psychology. They don't just pick nice photos, they shape the very idea of kindness in the viewer's mind. And they know that, in this era, people are more likely to trust someone in an old t-shirt than someone driving a fancy car, even if both have the same bank balance. So what are they hiding with all this? The answer lies in numbers that are never made public. When someone like Warren Buffett lives, simply yet runs an investment company worth nearly $1 trillion, can you really say he's not influencing the entire economy? When someone like Mark Zuckerberg claims to just connect people, yet holds the data of billions worldwide. Can you believe he's just a shy programmer? Simplicity is a shell, but behind it are real estate empires, anonymous stakes in conglomerates, offshore assets, tech stocks, investment vehicles, secret political deals, and networks of influence that can change policies with just a few phone calls. They aren't just successful people. They are shrewd enough to know that flaunting wealth, power, and luxury only breeds resentment. However, if they live simply and keep things hidden, they can have everything in their hands in silence and peace. But what they need to hide is not just their wealth. It's also informal power, the ability to manipulate the stock market with just one article, the relationships with governments that the media never mentions or doesn't dare to mention. It's lobbying disguised as educational innovation funds, technological programs, or climate initiatives. It's legal tax avoidance through complex corporate structures that ordinary people couldn't even imagine. It's manipulating the media through sponsorship, acquisition, or simply not allowing certain stories to air. You might ask Marcus to tone down his simplicity, but do you know he spends $10 million a year just on personal security? That he owns over 600 hectares in Hawaii, enough to build a small nation, or that he bought 4 neighboring houses just to avoid being disturbed by AI. So why does a simple person need to live like that? Because he knows that real power doesn't lie in what you show off, it lies in what you hide. And Bill Gates, often praised as the world's most philanthropic man, has also been investigated for the tangled web of funding between his foundations and the corporations that benefit from health policies. Some say he's cheating, but no one has enough data to understand whether there's any link between those grants and global public policy directions. Everything exists in gray areas, and that gray area will forever remain in the dark if public attention is diverted to a Casio watch. So, when you see a billionaire dressed simply, walking with their child, or eating a burger at a cheap restaurant, remember, you're only seeing the side they want you to see. That's not simplicity. That's a carefully crafted trust building. Strategy, a media mask designed so you won't ask more questions, so you'll believe they're just one of us, while they hold things you'd never dare to dream of in your lifetime. Just like a magician, it's not the sleight of hand that fools you, but the distraction. You look at the gray t-shirt and forget the tech empire. You hear that simplicity is strength, but you forget that the storyteller also holds the power to shape humanity's future. So next time you hear that they live simply just like you, ask yourself, are they really like you, or are you just standing in front of a golden mask? Simplicity is not just an image, it's the new capitalist model, and a psychological game in an era where every scroll on social media comes with feelings of comparison and helplessness. The image of a billionaire in a cheap t-shirt, driving an average car, eating a burger, or living in a modest house has become an unexpected inspiration. Not because it's beautiful, but because it feels achievable. They come from a world that feels close, they're just like us, but better. And that closeness yet distance has become a powerful visual drug, manufactured by New Age capitalism to maintain dominance. Today's billionaires are no longer the cigar-smoking, overweight bosses of the Rockefellers or Carnegies. They are wrapped in soft cultural symbols, reading books daily, meditating, minimalism, loving their spouse, caring for their children, investing in education, advocating for peace, and of course, living simply. They represent not just money, but a dream, that if you work hard, are smart, and curb your desires, you too can become like them. And it is precisely this model, the image of a people's billionaire, that has become the most powerful tool to legitimize the growing wealth gap. Instead of asking why inequality is increasing, the public is led to believe they're rich simply because they're better than me. No one talks about factors like inheritance, technological monopolies, global tax structures, legal loopholes, political connections, or market manipulation. Everything is wrapped in a simple story. I live simply, I work hard, and you can too. This is an extremely sophisticated model, that keeps the public from getting angry. Instead, it makes them admire these billionaires. The new generation of capitalists no longer flaunt their supercars, wines, or yachts. They flaunt leaving everything behind to look within, leading by example with their simplicity. Elon Musk once slept in Tesla's factory. Steve Jobs wore a black turtleneck his entire life. Bill Gates lived in an old house. Mark Zuckerberg bikes his child to school every day. Each of these actions becomes a moral symbol, transforming those with limitless financial and technological power into moral role models that the public not only trusts, but also aspires to emulate. This crafted persona doesn't just stop at the media, it becomes a commercial product. Steve Jobs didn't wear the black turtleneck because it was cheap, it was his personal brand. That turtleneck became synonymous with creativity, determination, and vision, and it became such a strong media shield that just dressing like him makes people feel different. Simplicity is no longer moderation. It has become a marker of spiritual class, commercialized in everything from the minimalist yet premium iPhone to the modern yet minimal Tesla, to self-help books telling you to live with less and read more. Dress like a billionaire and hope to be like them. It's a clever strategy. Product plus image plus trust. A vegan CEO can boost a company's stock price. A minimalist billionaire makes people believe their technology must be ethical. Kindness is attached to products like a certified seal, and you buy them not just for features, but for the feeling of consuming with a bit of morality. But what happens when that simplicity is a deliberate lie? The danger isn't what they wear, but the false belief they're planting in society. That success inevitably results from simplicity, intelligence, and hard work, regardless of starting point, system, or structural injustice. When that image is repeated often enough, it becomes a truth, and anyone who dares to challenge it is seen as negative, envious, or lazy. Worse still, when the public begins to believe that simplicity equals goodness, they're more likely to forgive tax evasion, market manipulation, political lobbying, or ignoring antitrust laws. A CEO in a wrinkled t-shirt carrying a child through the streets even after laying off thousands of workers is praised by the media as relatable. A billionaire called to testify about user data is still labeled a quiet genius. Image becomes a weapon to dilute the truth, and worst of all, that image is fiercely protected by the public as a kind of belief. This fake simplicity becomes a shield against social critique. It turns the wealthiest individuals into public figures, delaying antitrust laws and tax reforms, because who would dare criticize an old man eating a hamburger and reading the newspaper every morning? Who would dare criticize a founder sitting quietly in meditation? Even more dangerously, many poor people start to believe that if they just live like them, they too will succeed. Wearing a t-shirt and eating boiled vegetables, reading books every morning, people believe that's all it takes to overcome their fate. They imitate these behaviors, buying self-help books and signing up for cheap motivational courses, or investing in their idols' tech products, without realizing that this capitalist model doesn't create equal opportunities. It's a sophisticated illusion. A billionaire can live simply not because he lacks money, but because he has so much that he doesn't need to flaunt it. And so, instead of fighting for a fairer system, those at the bottom of society learn to emulate the simplicity of their idols. Yet the system doesn't change, opportunities aren't expanded, wealth isn't distributed, and power remains concentrated in the hands of those who know how to hide it behind a gray cotton shirt and a simple smile. In short, the image of the simple billionaire is not just a media story. It's the pinnacle of 4.0 capitalism, where image is weaponized, ethics are commercialized, and beliefs are carefully designed to soothe public anger. It not only makes people adore the powerful, but also makes them afraid to question, to demand, or to expect more, as long as they can appear to be like them on the surface. So if you're holding a Live Simply Like a Billionaire book or buying the same shoes as Elon Musk, thinking it's your first step to success, ask yourself, do they live simply to get closer to you or to stop you from looking up? That concludes today's podcast. If you found it interesting, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye, and see you soon.